Get Advisor Fit with Olivia Looper, a series of interviews with financial consultants and industry experts helping financial advisors strategize, market, and grow their business using core fitness values and analogies. Do something today that your future self will thank you for with Get Advisor Fit. Here's your host, Olivia Looper.
So Johnny, welcome. Welcome to Get Advisor Fit. Thank you for joining us. You are the founder and CEO of Three Crowns Marketing. You've been serving RIA firms and technology firms all over the country since 2009. You are a Star Wars fan, self-proclaimed. Autumn is also your favorite season. Are you one of those guys who insists on calling it autumn, or is fall okay too?
I'm good with either, as long as we are celebrating crunchy leaves and pumpkins and all that kind of thing, I'm good with it.
Okay, awesome. And you will take all the s'mores, things that are flavored like s'mores or actual s'mores made with a fire.
Yeah, you got to do it by the fire, and you got to level up your game. And instead of Hershey's, use Reese's peanut butter cups. So you get the peanut butter chocolate action going.
That's ingenious.
It's the secret.
I wonder what other tips he has up his sleeve.
That might be my best one. We'll see.
That's it. We've blown the whole thing. That's the best part, guys. You can stop right there. I love it. Anyways, I love the personal touches that you put in your bio. All the time I'm stressing this with advisors, how important it is in their marketing to include these personal touches. For me, even when I was just like looking up these questions to what am I going to talk to Johnny about? What are we going to bring to advisors today? I was thinking about these memories that I have of making s'mores and the first time that I saw Star Wars. All of these things, they just build this personal connection. And I think that your firm does a really great job of doing that in your own marketing. I think that that's something I want to highlight to advisors who do go check out your website and check out your social media profiles after this conversation. This is the way to win it, people. So, Johnny, give us the 101. Who are you? What do you do? What do you give to advisors that other people don't? We want to know it all.
Okay. So the Johnny 101, like you said, I'm founder and CEO of Three Crowns Copywriting and Marketing, and we're a full service creative agency for primarily fintech and also RIA firms. So what that means is we work with people from strategy to content creation, graphic design, ads, building their websites, kind of the whole 9 yards. I started Three Crowns in 2018. So before too long, we're going to be coming up on 4 years of life as a company, which is super exciting. I know you and I connected not long after I launched. So we've known each other kind of like for the whole time that Three Crowns has been going. But like you said, I've been working in the industry since 2009. Started out at Orion Advisor Services, which is now slightly changed name, Orion Advisor Tech, Orion Advisor Solutions. They've ballooned since I started out with them early on in those days. But that gave me a good base, just working with like literally hundreds of advisors to implement them and onboard them to that tech platform. And that's where things started out for me. So now I've fully embraced where my real roots are, which is the creative and writing side and helping advisors and, like you said, tech firms create really great content that speaks to the people who want to hear from them. That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about, man. Just like us talking right now, you got to build that bond in other ways when you can't be face to face with somebody. So definitely there. So you kind of touched on this a little bit, but how do you think your business has evolved? Not necessarily from day one, but, especially more recently, zoom in to this post-pandemic environment. How do you feel like things have changed, gotten better, gotten worse, gotten harder, gotten easier? What do you think?
Oh, man. My business looks completely different than it did on day one. I started out not really with much of a roadmap for where I wanted to take things. Like, it was just me. And I was leaving the agency where I was director of content. So I was like a copywriter. So I was like, I'll just do this and see what happens. Maybe I'll do it for a year or two and then hop on board like as a CMO or something for somebody. But just kind of found that I liked the lifestyle of running things on my own. And so as it's grown, that's, I think this is true of anybody who owns a business. Like as your business grows, you have to always reassess what you're doing and what you're like, right? Like what are you best at? What are you not great at? And then you have to decide to lean in to those things that you're really, really good at, and then either improve, outsource, or let fall away those things that aren't part of that core. And so it's a continual refinement of what we look like. Like we're a team of 5 now. Whereas I started out with just copy. Now, like I said, like design's a core competency for us. Really creating like really pretty websites is probably my favorite thing. And videos is right up there with it. So we've expanded to more of that multimedia focus, which is super exciting, but completely different. It's just forcing me to, every day look at where we can get better and what is going to be most valuable to the people that we're working with, really. So, man, it's hard to even describe like the change that's taken place, but I think that's the main thing is like self-assessment becomes huge. And then from a wider standpoint, how things have changed. Well, obviously the COVID thing is huge. I always thought of myself as an introvert. And then once I started 3 Crowns and started like going to conferences and things like that to meet people and help with business development, I realized I'm more of like an ambivert because those things like really, really recharge me. And so it's been very hard for me as COVID has kind of like locked that down. And now some things are coming back this fall. And then like half the other things I was going to do have canceled since then. And so the big thing is like, well, we're digital marketing, so we play in digital all the time. But it's really reinforced me the importance of like hybrid, right? Like you can go full digital, but my personal preference and what I think works most well for most advisors is that hybrid approach, like being strong on the digital side, so you can deliver things to people when they want it, but then having that close personal connection, like to me, that can't be replaced.
I'm with you 100%. You can't just do the digital part. You gotta have both sides. And I think it's really interesting when you're talking about your business evolving, because we both have a background in this content base, and yet our businesses don't necessarily mimic one another. Your model is very unique to you, and my model is very unique to me. And even, other people that I know provide advisor content, they even go in a little bit different direction. So it's really interesting to hear, especially, you have that intense graphics focus, and I love the graphics that you posted not too long ago. I think you made some vintage record label graphics for some of the companies in our industry, financial services industry. Like Potomac is one of them that I could remember off the top of my head. Red Tail. Those were amazing. I was just like, yes, I love this. This made my day. I mean,
that was fun.
Old rock and roll, and I love revamping and telling a new story. And I think that was really cool.
Yeah, thank you. That was fun. Like I had just finished up watching the Loki TV series on Disney Plus, which is all about like alternate universes and like, the nerdy stuff. Like I'm a Star Wars fan, it's the sci-fi angle. Yeah. And so it's like all these variations of reality. And then we just hired a designer. And it's a big thing, for like freelance designers. If anybody has ever spent time on a website called like Dribble with 3 Bs, where designers upload their designs, it's a big thing to show off your skills, to just go like redesign logos for popular brands and be like, this is my take on it. So I talked to him and I was like, hey, this would be a cool thing for us to imagine like different scenarios. Like, hey, what if Aaron Klein, the CEO of Riskalyze, had started a heavy metal band instead of a wrist number? Like, what would that look like? What would their logo be? So we took it in that direction. It was a lot of fun. We got some good positive comments from people. And that was it. It was just like, what's a fun summer thing we can do for people in the industry? Yeah.
Yeah. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. I think I saw it on LinkedIn, but I'm sure it's on his other social media platforms as well. Those are really cool. So let's see. I just want to I want to talk a little bit more about content, if you don't mind.
Let's do it.
What role do you think that content plays you know, in the marketing you do for your clients? I mean, how much of it is reliant upon the content? How much of it is reliant upon strategy? How do you decide? Is it different for each of your clients? You know, you let me know. What does Johnny think?
Well, I mean, you're a content person. I'm a content person.
This
so
is, I mean, like, obviously I already have my own opinion. But I opened, I'm curious. I mean, you know, and advisors are curious too, other people's take.
My take on it is similar to Wu-Tang's take, where instead of cash rules everything around me, it is content rules everything around me.
Okay.
I like to come back to that phrase. And anytime we can bring in some Wu-Tang,
yeah, why not?
It's good with me. Right. So, I mean, content is everything. I would say that over the years, how my evolution has shifted is I used to, at an earlier point in my career, think like, well, it's all about making sure the strategy of things is correct, and then you can execute on it. And now I've come to a point where it's like, okay, if you think of how much time you can spend on things in like an hour, strategy should be 10 minutes and 50 minutes of it should be like creating the content. Whereas before I was like, I spend all the time on strategy, 40 minutes and then get to your content with the last 20. And I've flipped on that. Like, it's all about executing and doing things and approaching marketing and the content you create. For me, it's almost like a hypothesis, right? Like, take a scientific approach to it. Just, you got an idea, great. Like, just get the bare basics of what you need on a strategy standpoint, and then just start doing it and figure out what works. And you're going to have to try a lot of different things. You're going to have to test your thesis and then tweak the variables and keep trying other things. Like, content can mean so many different things, right? Like, it could be a blog, it could be podcasts, it could be videos, it could be Alexa skills, it could be all these different things. And one of them might be the one thing that you find really works and resonates with the people that you want to reach, and also that something that you create really well. And then the other thing that my mindset has been evolving on is just the content distribution side of things, and understanding the importance of redistribution of content. It's not enough to create a 1,200 word blog that you're super happy for and that like scores well on the SEO and the readability tests and all that. It's like, okay, that's great. But where your content shines is in you making sure that that one piece of content isn't just one piece of content, right?
Yes.
Like, it becomes 100 pieces of content. Like, there's a marketer that I respect, and he's like my main guru right now, named Ross Simmons. And that's his thing. He's like, one piece of content becomes 100. So that means, 10 sentences out of that blog become 10 social posts with just quotes and graphics. And that blog becomes an infographic. That blog becomes a podcast. That blog becomes an email. You can take it so many different ways. And to me, that's the beauty of content, when you find that mindset of saying like, okay, I've got this piece, but now it can be chopped up into so many other things and make it look like, even if I just published one blog a week, that my company is a publishing machine. You know what?
We would think about advisors, right? Who are like paying for assets, paying for a blog, paying for whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You can do so much with one asset that you purchase. You can get return from one article 100 times, like you said.
Yeah.
I mean,
so much.
It's in investment. It is a asset that pays you back in more content. You can create exponentially from a good base. And so I think that that's something that is important to add on to that. I mean, just talking about cost perspective.
Yeah. I like how you said it's an investment. Like, if you think of marketing in an investment sense, like you invest in an asset and then over time you get dividends back from that. That's what like that distribution plan gives you. Like, you invest in that piece of content, and then as you keep sharing it and keep the life of it going, those are the dividends that come back to you and increase the value of that initial investment you made.
Exactly. Yes. We need to make a piece of content out of this piece of content, baby. That's what we're going to do. Yes, we are. Oh, man. That's great stuff. Great stuff. So, all right. I ask everybody this question, and I think that it's some people probably sort of a boring question, but it doesn't have to be a boring question. What challenge do you see advisors facing the most right now, every day in your business world?
The biggest challenge is consistency,
Okay.
and disciplined with who it is that you're speaking to. I'm gonna start over because I knocked my cord.
Okay.
In my many years talking to people, it's really easy to see what somebody else is doing and get focused on trying to replicate what they're doing, or to say I want to go after this ideal client audience that I establish, and that's my best client, and I just want to create content for them. But then if that doesn't hit right away, to immediately drift out from that and then just start going broad and general with things again. So being disciplined in how you communicate and who you communicate to and what you communicate about is a struggle that's never going to go away. No matter if we're doing this podcast in 1995 or 2021 or 2080, that always has to be one of the foundational ways that you approach marketing, is stick to your guns and don't be impatient.
And it's funny because at least in my business, and I see it happen with advisors too, is sometimes your little boon, your little windfall of leads, it's just going to come, but when you're least expect it. Sometimes you're putting out your content, you're doing all the things, you're hitting all the boxes, and you're like, all right, I'm doing this. Olivia says I got to keep doing this. And then out of the blue, this happened to us this summer. Summer is typically pretty slow for us. And it was just, I went to my drawing boards and I was like, what did I do different? And really there wasn't anything I was doing different. That's not, I don't like to use absolutes.
Yeah.
I can find some trends that I'm going to point to, but all in all, I was doing the same things that I've always been doing. Sometimes you just, it's one piece of content or one trend that you hit on that hits right. Or maybe it's a trend in the industry and it just happens to come, you're there, you're top of mind. It comes full circle, and sometimes you can't always anticipate it. So you still just got to be there every day.
That consistency, even I see that with our website. I am really into looking at data and making decisions based on the trends and the metrics of things. And, when we're being consistent and we're publishing every single week, months over time, our website traffic just starts making a huge jump up, and it just starts to build on it because people keep coming back. And then the more you produce, the more people come. And then when we, hit a lull for whatever reason, and we don't release stuff for a little bit, that'll start going back the other way. Mm-hmm. So that consistency, it's I know you would get this reference, weight training, weightlifting.
Yeah.
And just, you have to keep doing it to build on your gains. If you do it here and there, you're not going to get to where you want to be. And so it is that long-term consistency that makes those gigantic gains.
Yeah.
After you've been doing it for a bit.
We have this, people. So I'm in bodybuilding, which is pretty strict fitness regimen, things like that. And there's different philosophies, right? And one of them is I'm going to do 80-20, 80-20. 80% of the time, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. And the other 20% of the time, I'm just going to drink and eat pizza and not go do my workouts, whatever. But if you think about it, 20% of the time is a lot of time. You're leaving days and weeks and months of the year on the table that you're not making any progress. So, it's just, just 20% makes such a difference. And in that consistency, that trajectory that you will see with website traffic, lead collection, all of these big goals that we have that we're working for our advisors to get.
Yeah.
What advice would you give advisors looking to leverage their own communications today? So, the guy who doesn't necessarily have the budget for a firm, but wants to get started and, just needs, what would you say is top 2 things that he should focus on?
This is going to sound like absolute advice. And like you said, like I struggle with absolute advice because so much of it can depend on a person's personality and who they want to go after. But if I was going to say my top 2 foundational things I think everybody should be doing right now, number 1 is a website that you're proud of and not just one that you threw up in 5 days when you started your business, on some sort of janky template where you just wrote a few things and you're like, okay, this is good. Because in the world where everything's digital and we still aren't fully back to in-person events and meeting people at Chamber of Commerce meetings or at the country club or wherever it is that you networked before, that website, in most cases, is going to be the first place that people really get a full sense of who you are. So making sure that the aesthetic of it, the words that it uses matches what you want to project, and that it is, most importantly, super, super, super focused on your clients and not on yourself. Like if your website uses a lot of a lot of we talking about your firm, a lot of are talking about you and not like the collective we, like you and the client type of stuff, right? That's wrong. Change that, rewrite it, talk to people, tell them, what great benefits they can get, like not promising crap, obviously, like we're not talking about compliancy things that are going to get you in trouble, but
things that you've helped your, let's say, think about, sorry.
Jump in.
Think about things, I saw recently a list of things. If you're struggling with this, write out a list of things that you have helped clients do in the past 365 days. And then, prioritize them, make the top list, the things that you want to, quote unquote, advertise that you do to help whatever your niche is, physicians, business owners, whatever. If you're, it's just one way if you're struggling to kind of get to that list.
Yeah. And it gives you confidence too, when you take time to write out what you've done specifically to help people. Like it's easy in just all the hundreds of things everyone has to do in a day to get lost in the noise of yourself and to lose sense of how much you've accomplished. And if you take that time and use those real client stories to influence what you say to other people, prospective clients, huge confidence builder, in my opinion. And then that second foundational thing is to get on YouTube, create a YouTube channel, make videos. I know that you're not, someone listening or watching this might be like, I hate doing videos. Okay. Like I understand. That's fine. If you truly, truly hate it, don't do it. But for the majority of people, for one, the SEO impact of YouTube can be pretty great. It's the second biggest search engine in the world behind Google. Like if someone's not searching on Google, they go to YouTube to search it instead. So
this blows my mind still, but I know it's been true for years now. But
so get on that. Just again, look at those instances, write down 10 ways that you helped people solve real problems in the past year. And then your videos could literally just be you saying, like frame that as a question, like how do I X or what do I do to do Y? And then your videos, you talking about that scenario. You don't have to use the client name and get into all the marketing rule stuff, even though that's an opportunity now to use your clients in your marketing and testimonials. We won't get into that because a lot of people are still scared of it, but lots of blue ocean there to take advantage. And just do that. And then, use your iPhone, 4K video, get yourself a ring light, get yourself a lav mic that plugs into your iPhone so you have good audio, and just start making videos, put them on your website, put them on social media, put them on YouTube so they live in multiple places. And to me, it's like this, show that personality. Like we were talking before, I talk about Star Wars. I got a little Star Wars card from my kids behind my shoulder right here on my desktop, or on my
oh yeah,
whatever this is called,
Yoda.
the shelf. Yeah, a little Father's Day card back there, and show that personality off, because that's what I want to know. Like when I'm meeting with my advisor, like I like to spend time just catching up about our family and stuff like that. So give people what they want before they meet you, before they work with you, and video is the number one way to do it.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Now I'm just wondering what's behind me, like I didn't already know. No. We have books. Yeah. So we have bookshelves all over our house. There's like 10 of them. But that's because obviously I was a literature major, and my husband, he was a history major. So he read all kinds of history stuff. And I have all my literature stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, the rest of my house is covered in 3-year-old toddler toys. I'm not going to lie. But we have a spot that looks like a semi-grown-up spot for
yeah. No, I cleared off kids' toys from this before this call.
Yeah, for sure. This has been so fun. I love to see you all the time. You always make me smile. I must ask you today, when you look back at your career so far, because we started about the same time, you got in the game a little bit sooner than me, but
not much sooner.
Not much sooner, but you were there, and I've always looked up to you. So what do you think is the biggest lesson you have learned? It could be as a business owner, it could be in marketing, it could be personally, as moving from a W-2 employee to a business owner. What is the biggest lesson you've learned?
Oh, that's a huge question.
I know it's a huge question.
God. That's great. I think if I break it down as a business owner, it is to really rely on the people around you that you trust. I think it's incredibly easy to, especially when you're building a business and starting out, entrepreneurship is a lonely journey. And so if you can find others who are in similar stages of their career or building their companies and form a community with them, and just have that positive interaction to be able to ask questions of each other, to encourage each other, I don't think there's anything better than that. And that's really true of wherever you are in your career. To be able to surround yourself with a group like that, the most important thing, like when I think about the growth of Three Crowns, whenever I had to make an important decision, I had a close nucleus of people who I would reach out to and talk through things, or, when I was feeling like the trajectory wasn't right, to get their advice. Nothing's been more impactful than that the last 3.5 years.
I really like that, actually, because I feel like there's a handful of people that I can go to. And you've been one of them, actually, that I've gone to in the past and said, like, hey, what would you do in the situation? Or, hey, do you have a company that does this? And we've sent referrals to one another at different points. And so even though we might not be in each other's super, super internal nucleus, I know exactly what you're saying. And I feel like, the financial services industry really isn't that big. It really isn't. I mean, especially when we think about the number of financial advisor, RIA specific marketing firms, even as it gets much smaller.
Yep.
And it's so important. And I have found, I really have not had a negative experience with anybody when I've reached out for help or reached out for advice or anything like that. And I think that that's made a world of difference. And it means that I'm buying drinks. So whenever we all end up at a conference together, I drink like 3 times a year, but one of the times I will reserve for you guys, also because I have intense social anxiety in person. You would never know it, but it's there, but below the surface. But yeah, so when all of this is not virtual and everything's not virtual anymore, don't get me wrong, I love seeing your face, but I would like to, see you in person too.
It's better in person. Next Florida conference, I'm there. We're going to hang.
Let's do it. I mean, I don't care. I don't care. I'll go wherever. I mean, that's the stretch. I will go. We gotta go somewhere, fun at least.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So everybody, you hear that? Those drinks are on Olivia at the conference. All right. Don't bring your friends. I'm just kidding.
That's a one drink limit offer. That's one round, everybody.
Once I have one round, it will be off. There will be no limits. I'm a cheap date. Oh man, Johnny, thank you so much for your time today. I always love talking to you. I always love seeing you. If you'd like to learn more about Johnny and his company, go to his website at threecrownsmarketing.com. If you want to connect with me, you can find me on social media at Lexicon Content Development or lexiconcontentdevelopment.com. To learn more about how our firms help financial advisors attract their ideal client with custom content, social media management, and SEO services. Woo-woo. Visit the website, see me on social media. Everything's in the digital domain, including this video, if you're seeing it. So, guys, if you need help, Johnny and I are here. Again, thank you for joining me, and we will talk again very soon.
Thanks for listening to Get Advisor Fit with Olivia Looper. To learn more about Olivia and how her firm, Lexicon Content Development, can help you, visit lexiconcontentdevelopment.com. If you want to reach out to Olivia on LinkedIn, you can find her at Olivia Looper Lexicon. And if you'd like to follow Olivia on Instagram, you can find her at Lexicon Content Development. Till next time.